Well, to be in America, to me, it means to have freedom of choice, freedom of to join a faith-based organization, freedom of speech, and freedom to do what we're doing here right now.
To me, to be an American means loving your country, but in the way that you look at the pros and cons of your nation and you try and improve your nation. So for me, being able to potentially disagree with the government is very important in being an American. And fortunately, your First Amendment right protects that. Your ability to maybe say something that's contrary to government policy, or your right to assemble and express that you disagree with government.
Under the Bill of Rights drafted by James Madison, all Americans are granted equality, regardless of their race, income, religion, or background. But in reality, not all Americans enjoy equality. Racism and homelessness have risen to be two of the most infamous characteristics of America. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development report, as of 2017, there are around 554,000 homeless people in the United States on a given night, or 0.17% of the population.
The wealthiest nation in the history of the world, but most Americans don't feel that and don't know that. And the reason for that is that almost all of the wealth rests in the hands of a tiny number of people. America now has more income and wealth inequality than any major country on earth, and the gap between the very, very rich and everyone else is wider today than at any time since the late 1920s.
I do believe, unfortunately, there should be no difference how you treat the men, depending on how much money you make or what class you're in. People in the upper 10% are more independent thinkers, and people in the low 90% are more liberal and think more as a group. So unfortunately, at this time in America, we have become more of apart from each other. We need to be, and we're all here as one big global community. We all need to be closer together.
I think according to the Constitution that they are equal under the law. However, your ability to know your rights tends to be correlated with your education level and your ability to access, for example, legal counsel. And if you're being serviced by a public defender, yes, they're doing their best, but they're also working a lot more cases than if you are able to afford your own private counsel. So in that regard, if you're wealthy, you do have a tendency to have more access to the benefits of our Constitution than those who are less wealthy.
And so the inequity is growing. It is still growing, even though the low-income workers have taken the brunt of the Wall Street crash, the recession. They're more unemployed, more underemployed, more underinsured. They get ripped off more in the consumer marketplace.
The United States of America defines itself by a collective dream, the dream of economic opportunity and upward mobility. America proudly boasts that it would provide a chance of a stable life to everybody who exemplifies qualities of a hard worker and a lawful citizen. However, this facade fails to ignore one of the country's main problems, the growing income gap. In his 2017 book, The Broken Ladder, Payne, a social psychologist at the University of North Carolina, argues that humans are hardwired to notice relative differences. When we are reminded that we are poorer or less powerful than others, we become less healthy, more angry, and more politically polarized. Young people are more likely to drop out of high school in more unequal U.S. states or to be NEET, which stands for non-education, employment, or training in more unequal rich countries. Average educational performance on math and literacy tests is lower in more unequal countries, but the ways in which inequality hampers social mobility go far beyond educational involvement and attainment. In unequal societies, more parents will have mental illness or problems with drugs and alcohol. They will be more likely to be burdened by debt and long working hours adding stress to family life. More young women will have babies as teenagers. More young men will be involved in violence. The evidence which shows the damage caused by socio-economic inequality is mounting.